Now I'm checking to make sure we all good. All right, we are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. All right, good. Get out of here. All right, guys. How y'all doing? My name is Tim Black. Welcome to the Tim Black at Night show. Tonight, we got a great show lined up for you because I have someone who I know that you know, someone that you're well aware of as a speaker, a fighter for the people. In fact, they call him the People's Champ. He's the host and the producer of Redacted Tonight. Give it up for Lee Camp, y'all.
I like getting a UFC intro to a podcast or a video cast.
You know it, my brother. You know it, man. Lee, how you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm feeling good, man. You know, just trying to survive with all this drama we got going on, man.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just war crimes and fake war crimes going on right now.
Yeah, little something happening, man. How's things going with Redacted Tonight? You know, this fact that the Russia whole thing, like, what's happening, man? You guys still getting Russian dressing, Russian vodka? What's up?
Yeah. It's just, every day Vlad sends in all my comedy jokes to be told on my show. And, he's an impressive comedy writer. So luckily, I basically just say whatever he tells me to say.
Yeah.
No, for those who haven't heard me say it, and now I've started saying it at the beginning of every show so people can fucking know what the hell we do here. I have an American comedy show. I'm American. I'm in Washington, D.C., born and raised in Washington, D.C., in Richmond, Virginia. And I write all my own words, and nobody tells me to say shit. I wish I had a team of people telling me what to say. That would make my job so much fucking easier. But no, I write all my own stuff, do all my own research. So anybody can have a complaint with what I say and say, hey, you're an idiot. But just don't tell me I'm speaking for anyone else.
Absolutely. Give it up for that, man. Like I can serve as a character witness. I've performed with Lee live, and he's got a mountain of material, all fresh and hot stuff. And last thing he needs is help writing. He needs help stop talking because he's got so much material. He could do like 2.5 hours if he wanted to. He didn't need no damn Russians to give him words.
Yes. Speaking of performing with me, I assume your viewers know you've been doing the live shows with me a little bit. We did maybe a month ago. We did Salt Lake City, and maybe you've told them, but they probably figure you're lying to them. Somehow you are pretty good at stand-up, even though you've done it about 6 times. Meanwhile, I've been going for 20 years. And I think I'm only barely better than you. So.
Shit. Hey, look, I'll take it though, man. Hey, look. So, because I'm looking for work, Lee. So I'm going to use that, guys. You heard what he said, right? Lee's bona fide, man. 20 years in the biz. He says, I ain't half bad. So, yeah, look out for your man, Tim Black, man. Look out for your man, Tim Black.
So anybody booking stand-up gigs, give Tim some spots. He kills it every time.
Man, I appreciate the hell out of that, brother.
Next, we're headed to Columbus and Pittsburgh together. Coming up.
Oh, yeah. That's right, guys. It's official. Lee has invited me along again, man. So I'll be in Pennsylvania, and I don't even know where in Pennsylvania. Where in Pennsylvania, Lee?
Well, first I got to tell you that Columbus is in Ohio.
Okay, that's right.
And then Pittsburgh is in Pennsylvania, yeah. But Columbus is almost. There's like 2 tickets left to Columbus. So anybody who's thinking they're coming to Columbus, they're probably wrong. But that's sold out. But almost. But Pittsburgh still got plenty of tickets left, and that's all. People can get that at leecamp.com/schedule or redactedtour.com, and then I'm playing Los Angeles, but we'll go over this later.
Oh, that's right, man. Lee is busy, man. He's a touring comedian as well as writing all this stuff. I don't know how he does it, man. Real talk, man. He's on the road constantly, man. But I've been watching your channel, Lee, and that's one thing, brother. I tell you, man, I don't always have time to catch all the channels, bro, because I'm so busy. I know you're busy too, producing content, doing everything you do. But you have really been on fire about Syria, man. So I like to open up and talk about that shit a little bit.
Absolutely. Syria's been on fire, unfortunately. I was always saying to you before we started filming, it's like every once in a while, our media, and I know, our media is spewing bullshit 24/7. But every once in a while, there's something where they all get lockstep. And you're like, am I the only one seeing that? Is there really no one that's going to call out this insanity? Look, I am no Assad apologist. I don't even know that much about Assad. I think he probably a tyrant is what a lot of people like to say. I'm not going to say one way or the other, all right? But I will say this. The idea that he used chemical weapons for fucking no reason to kill 40 people a week after Donald Trump says he is withdrawing out of Syria, says 2 weeks before he says he's getting out of Syria very soon, then a week before the so-called chemical attack, he tells our military to start planning for the withdrawal. And then all of a sudden, what do you know? Assad decides to use some sort of piddly chlorine gas to take out 40 people in Duma. It's so laughably ridiculous. And General Mattis goes on TV, and I'm amazed he has the nerve to go on TV as a defense secretary and say literally the only proof they have is from social media. He goes, we're highly confident from social media. This has to be the first time in history a country was bombed because of social media. It's so goddamn laughable. And luckily, it's all falling apart now, by the way. Actually, a lot of it happened today. Rand Paul went on CNN just like an hour or two ago and said that it's ridiculous, the idea that Assad used chemical weapons. One of the most respected war correspondents, Robert Fitz, I believe I got that name right, just wrote an article for the Independent saying he's one of the only, or maybe the only, Western journalist to be in that city to go check out the chemical attack, so-called. He found no evidence of it. He talked to the doctor that's in the viral video, and the doctor said, yeah, you know what? That was horrible, and it was horrific, and kids were hurt, and people were dying. One thing, though, it wasn't chemicals. It was just a fucking bomb, all right? This is how war is. It's gross and disgusting, but just saying it was a bomb, just saying those kids were dying and injured from a bomb doesn't fit our storyline, because guess what? We're bombing people all the time. So it doesn't fit for us to just say, hey, this is traditional bombing that caused this.
Absolutely, man. You're right about Fisk. He's just not a regular guy, some hack writing for some little ass shit rag. This guy's like a major journalist. He's an award-winning journalist. I think, what is it? He's run like 4 decades. He's been reporting on the wars, the conflicts in the Middle East. He's decorated. He's like the British Press Awards for like 4 years, six awards for some other agency or some other organization. This guy is bona fide. In fact, the New York Times said he was the premier correspondent in Britain. So this guy, so what is it? He's lying too, because he's a what? He's a bot, a Russian bot, or an Assad bot? No, he's telling you what he's witnessing from the accounts of the people on the ground there in Duma, Lee. So yeah, doubling down totally, bro.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that both chemical attacks and bombing of chemical laboratories leave a lot of chemicals around. Big surprise. Like, there are traces everywhere. You can usually smell it and everything. Whereas, what the evidence of the chemical attack is that one reporter smelled a backpack and said, "Oh yeah, that's a chemical attack." If it were a legit, if it were sarin gas or something, you would have to be masked. You would have to have all kind of hazmat suits on. The laboratories that we supposedly hit with our missiles apparently, manufactured things like snakebite anti-venom. And they were investigated by the OPCW recently or in months past, and they found nothing. They did not find it was a chemical factory. Yet you've got CNN running with the Chiron, the lower third thing, saying, U.S. strikes Assad chemical program. What program? No one's even said there was a program. You're saying there's a program just because they have to keep this going, this idea that there's a program. And of course, in a moment we can get into why does the U.S. benefit from this? What are we really getting out of doing this? But
yeah, I can't wait to get into that because I've been hearing people say different things about it. But to your point, man, we supposedly hit chemical locations, so wouldn't there be chemical spills at the chemical locations? And did that make any fucking sense that we're saying, okay, we're going to bomb the chemical reserves? Wouldn't that just put more chemicals in the air to hurt civilians?
And yet, basically, immediately after the bombing, like that hour, Mattis goes on television, right? He does a press conference. And he says, I have high confidence that there are no ill effects of the chemicals. There's no spread of the chemicals after bombing. How could he know that? I'll tell you how he could know that. Because they knew they weren't fucking chemical factories. Dude, this is like, honestly, this is some amateur hour stuff. I would say, this is what I said on my last episode of Redacted Tonight. Can you just come up with some new ideas for manufacturing consent? Come up with some new clever stuff, just doing these same old games that are so laughable at this point. I think our military intelligence complex just isn't used to everyone having cell phones. Information can get out within 30 seconds. They're used to Syria's a world away. They'll never know whether there was actually a chemical factory there. Yeah, we know. We see you, all right?
Yeah, if you're going to lie to us, at least come up with some new lies. You know, if you want some trickery, I mean, come on, at least pretend that we're worth going through the effort of developing new material, right? So that's the thing. And Lee, correct me, man, if I'm wrong, brother, but the last chemical attack, wasn't it found out to be not a chemical attack? Like, isn't this like Groundhog's Day? I like Bill Murray, but come on, dog, what the fuck's going on with this?
A year ago, if anyone really followed what ended up coming out, there was basically no true evidence of it. Famed reporter Seymour Hersh, who's, won every prize in the book for his investigative reporting, ultimately did an extensive report that there was not a chemical attack, that at best or worst, I guess, there was a bomb that hit like a chlorine depot where they have, all kinds of farming equipment and shit like that. And chlorine may have, spread out into the town after a bomb hit, but that's not a chemical attack. That's just, collateral damage of this kind of thing. And he did an extensive report. But guess what? Seymour Hersh, one of the, honestly, if you were to list the 5 most well-known investigative journalists in the United States, he'd be on that list. He's not allowed to publish in the U.S. anymore because they don't want to hear this stuff. They don't want to hear when you question the military-industrial complex. So he published that in a German newspaper because he couldn't get it published here. How, that's the level we've gotten to with our media, which is another point we need to get to, the fact that our media will not allow dissenting voices, even the so-called left-wing liberal media. You won't hear an anti-war voice on it. Nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, as you opened up the show, describing what's going on with you and your show and how, he's from Richmond, guys, not far from me. But all of a sudden now he's rushing because he's been given a platform where he can actually say the truth. Like, he can actually report on the issues. He would never be able to do that in the United States. And to do that to Seymour Hersh, and you're right, we can get to it later, but I saw that Ed Schultz put out something about that. It's just disgusting what's happening in our corporate media, man, what they do to us. They railroad us. I think you retweeted one of my tweets about that where I said that, they call you, anytime you report on something that's contrary to the mainstream media narrative, you're all of a sudden a theorist, a conspiracy theorist, or something, man. They got to defame you, man.
Yeah, all the stuff that's been proven true, such as the Pentagon Papers proved about Vietnam, or the WMD. Anybody who was questioning the WMD line for Iraq was called a Saddam Hussein apologist and everything. It's like, no, I'm just adding up the facts, and I don't want to see us kill another million people like we did in Iraq. And I'm going to speak out about it. And that therefore makes me, some sort of foreign agent or something. It's preposterous. And the left, or the liberals, or whatever the hell they're calling the Mick resistance, whatever the hell they're calling themselves right now. push this stuff out there and force out. They're using McCarthyism to actually drum out any of this neo-McCarthyism, drum out any anti-war voices, anybody who's questioning the line that is coming out of our military-industrial complex, that's coming out of the CIA and the FBI. These are the people that are opposed to Trump. They're supposed to be the resistance. Meanwhile, they're defending every military act. They're defending the endless exploitation of Wall Street. They're defending the health industry that makes money off of our death and suffering. It is two sides of the same corporate coin, and our corporate media has been taken over, as we saw with the Sinclair viral video. And the funniest thing about the Sinclair viral video, about every local news saying the same shit, is that then you had MSNBC coming out and going, "This is despicable. This is disgusting." Meanwhile, they're doing the same thing. They're reading off propaganda for the State Department. That's awful what Sinclair did. Now let's have on former CIA head,
Yeah. Don't listen to their propaganda. Listen to our propaganda. Yeah. It's better. It's more spicy. We got hot sauce in it, and out of our purses. We got it going on. But yeah, I was looking at this Sinclair thing. It was scary to look at. But the thing about it with Syria that really pisses me off, Lee, is that they turn good people against themselves. Like they know that people are sympathetic. People, they use the death of children. They use the fake death, or I don't even know. Maybe there were some children that were hurt,
the children. I mean, that's what's so horrible with that video is real children, and they are really suffering from what I've heard and from what Robert Fix put out. That they were suffering from traditional bombs. There's a lot of tunnels underneath the town so that people can move around without getting shot at. And basically those will collapse and buildings will collapse down on people. Yeah. And they'll asphyxiate on, dust and sandstorms. That apparently a sandstorm came through. And so they will be taken to have, shit washed off of them, to be able to get oxygen into their lungs. And it is horrific. But again, it doesn't fit with the U.S. talking point of this being a chemical attack. Because if you just say, "Hey, look what this horrible thing that happened from bombs," then everybody has to go, "Hey, wait a minute, don't we drop bombs? Don't we? Didn't General Mattis blow up a wedding party and claims that he lost no sleep over it? Like, he was part of a wedding party. He made the call for a wedding party massacre that you could, read about online, and says, "Oh yeah, I would make that decision again. I made it in 10 seconds." So it's like, the problem is bombs hurting kids that doesn't fit really our talking points. Instead, we got to say, "Oh no, it's chemical weapons," and therefore the other guy, the great other, is more harmful than we are.
Yeah, I mean, to the corporate people out there, the centrists, the gooey middle of the Democratic Party, the Hillary confidants, the Hillary strongholds. It's the same thing when they use, but the Mexicans, when they boogeyman the Mexicans, and they do that in order to get their narrative out, in order to get policy the way, to manipulate policy. It's the same thing. They're just using, this case, they're using Assad, they're using chemicals. It's the same way. It's that they're overblowing this in order to get the result they want on the other end. So it's the same form of manipulation, fear mongering. And this thing about it that pisses me off, the Democratic Party, they're always saying, Lee, the Republicans fear monger, Well, the Democrats fear monger too. They just use other means in order to do it.
Yeah, the difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is the Democratic Party is screwing you and going, "We're not screwing you." The Republican Party is screwing you and going, "I'm screwing you." So that's basically the difference. But they're doing the same thing. And honestly, I could sit here for the next 24 hours at just listing everything I despise about Donald Trump. All right, he's a racist and a bigot and an idiot and an egomaniac and all of those things, and a con artist and a snake oil salesman. But I'll tell you this, though, he did come into office, I think, legitimately thinking, "I don't want all these wars, because what's the point?" He didn't understand that the state Our state, our economy rests on endless war. Our military uses 55%, or maybe it's more, of our discretionary spending, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars. He didn't understand that that machine needs to continue to run for these people to continue to enrich themselves, for Wall Street to continue to do well, and the weapons contractors. And so he thought he was going to pull us out of Syria, pull us out of a bunch of these 900 military bases around the world. And they said, oh, no, that's not how it works. Let's fill your cabinet with military men. Let's put generals in there. Let's put ex-CIA in there. Let's surround you with those guys. John Bolton, he just added as his advisor, who's never seen a country he didn't want to bomb. And they put them all in there. And now they're saying, oh, no, you got to keep bombing. You got to keep bombing. And he said, let's get out of Syria. And they said, chemical attack.
Wasn't it like right behind it? Like as soon as he said, let's get out of Syria, next thing we know, we had another chemical attack on our hands.
Well, 1 week later. And here's the thing is you don't have to believe that like a U.S. general is over there going, I'm going to drop some chemicals here and pretend there's a chemical attack. It could also be that these terrorist groups that we're partnering with, such as al-Nusra, which is just another name for al-Qaeda, and many others, which is what seems to happen, can be involved in actually helping civilians, the kind of faux white helmets, helping civilians out. And they do help some civilians, but they're also at the same time creating propaganda for their side of the dynamic. And so they can just go, the chemicals, and just start spreading the rumor that there was chemicals. And like, there's a way to create this dynamic without it being like U.S. generals are, running over and stashing chlorine in a bag somewhere.
Yeah, like they say, the best lies have a kernel of truth. So yes, there was a bombing. Yes, there were people that were hurt. There was devastation, destruction. But no, it was not used. There was no chemicals. At least there's no evidence of chemicals. And why, the thing with me is, they say that we're caping for Assad. We're caping for Russia. Dude, if I thought that Assad did this, I don't know Assad. He's not my homie. I don't know that hoe. So I would be like, sure, go get that guy. But if he didn't do it, then what's really going on? And the manipulation of the populace is what I'm concerned with, man. It's with me and you, Lee, I know you agree, man. It's about policy. It's not about party. It's about people, not about parties. So that's what we're here for, the truth.
Right. And honestly, it comes back to, like you said, I'm not going to defend the actions of Assad. I'm going to defend the truth. And it comes back to, why is it we think we have the right to just be bombing other countries we're not at war with? We have never had a declaration of war against Syria. All right. What have they done to us? And we are just bombing countries all over the world, military bases all over the world, to continue our American empire that is struggling, and we're both exploiting our people at home via Wall Street and corporations, and we're exploiting people abroad via military might. And, this has gone on for years. We've wanted to bring down Syria and Assad and Assad's father for decades. And this is our opportunity, was, to fund, various sides to make sure there was an unstable economy, and then you go in when the going's right. We're trying to do the same thing in Venezuela. We've fostered or helped endless coups around the world to continue our unfettered capitalist might over the world, and it's disgusting. And the number of lives that have been lost over it can make anybody ill.
Lately people have been saying, and someone called my show, my friend Marvin called the show, and he said, Tim, if all it takes is for intervention to be okay, would be for, I don't know, for the country to poison its citizens. Well, what about Flint?
Yeah.
If we would have used that same criteria, what about Flint? So it's okay for, I don't know, some foreign country to bomb the U.S. because they've been punishing and poisoning citizens. And it's not just Flint, it's other cities. Other cities have even worse water than Flint that no one's fucking talking about.
A lot of cities have worse lead levels than Flint. No one's talking about them. Pennsylvania, a lot of cities. I just posted an article at my website, leecamp.com, if anyone wants to read it, by Eleanor Goldfield, talking about all the towns, small rural towns in Pennsylvania. People are evacuating left and right because they get their water from wells, and those wells have been made, chemical by fracking. They can't get water anymore. So these people are abandoning their towns because the fracking and the oil and gas come in there and they just rip the land up, tear it apart, pollute the water, and they have the officials, so they don't care. They can come through anybody's land, doesn't matter. And for Flint, people might argue with you, Tim, and they might say, well, those officials didn't know that was going on. But in fact, the evidence is they knew a year beforehand that water was lead poisoned, and they were having bottles of water shipped to the State House so they didn't have to drink it.
That's damning evidence right there. Damning evidence. I'd like to jump to that point you made about Syria. There was a point about Syria. You said something you wanted to elaborate on that had to do, I guess, with something with Assad, man. I kind of lost my place. There was some point you made that you said we were going to double back to something about maybe there's more.
I know what it was. Just in general, how is it that we are that Trump is allowed to bomb countries that we're not at war with? And it's under the AUMF, right? The Authorization of Use of Military Force that was passed in 2001. Okay. So it's 17 years old. You'll see teenagers on the street that are younger than their permission Trump got to bomb Syria. It doesn't make any sense. And when they decided to try and have a revote on it, guess what? A lot of the Democrats, most of the Democrats, voted to continue to give Trump unlimited war powers. So tell me again how they're the resistance. So now, this is also what Rand Paul's interview today on CNN was about. They're putting forward a new AUMF that they want to get a vote on, and they're claiming that it's to, curtail Trump's war powers. But in fact, a lot of, ACLU and many others have looked at it and said, actually, it broadens his war powers. So this new one they're putting forward is actually going to make it even easier for a president, any president, Trump, the next one, who knows, to just go around and just bomb whatever country that they see fit. It's absolutely insane. It used to be the job of Congress to declare war. That used to be in our Constitution. Congress declares war. Now we just bomb whenever we feel like it, all the time, any country, doesn't matter.
It's like they tell you that Trump is the most insane president we've ever seen. He's, don't normalize Trump, which I don't even know what the hell that means, frankly, Lee. I mean, he is the president. I don't know what you mean, don't normalize him. This is a water bottle. You mean don't normalize it? It holds water.
I like the idea of not normalizing having a white supremacist in the White House. But the irony of when people say don't normalize it is, guess what we have normalized is unlimited war, is Wall Street, extracting all of our resources, is climate change that will kill us all, is environmental destruction, even beyond just climate change. Like our planet can't sustain this. We've lost 50% of all wildlife in the past 40 years. So the idea that our planet can sustain the way we are doing this right now is laughable.
Yeah, but Lee, that everything was fine before Trump. I mean, all those animals were just flying around, doing what they do, being whatever they're being, licking each other's backsides and just enjoying life. And then, then Trump came and oh shit, here we go, end of the world. We know that's not true, but that's what they say.
Trump created it all. Absolutely. No, honestly, if anything else, he's serving as a perfect kind of punching bag. And like I said, for the things he deserves criticism, like various types of corruption and things, I think they should go after him. But he serves as a perfect punching bag for all these things that were going on before him and will go on after him unless we continue to stand up and get angry. The Wall Street, obviously the collapse happened in 2008, and those banks are bigger than ever. And you can go down the list of all this stuff that went on under Obama that continues to go on under Trump. Obama bragged about laying more oil pipelines than ever before. So a lot of this stuff has started before Trump and will continue after Trump. And that's the stuff that he serves as a perfect punching bag for the faux left to go, it's his fault. No, it's our system's fault, and it's the psychopaths we have in power.
Yeah, when we call it out, though, and we say, well, Obama did this, like the deportation, they act as if it was invented under Trump, and we all know Obama was the deporter in chief. He bombed 7 countries. You talked about how many bombs, and that's a part of part of your bit, man, is talking about all those bombs that Obama drops, man. It was ridiculous.
26,000 in 1 year, yeah.
That's it, man. Ran out of bombs. You got to drop a lot of bombs and run out of bombs, man.
That's when the president finishes, is when he's out of bombs.
When he's out of bombs. But I was okay. So Ed Schultz, he just said something, and I know he's a respected journalist. I know you respect him. I respect him. He was saying how part of the reason why he left MSNBC, they forced him out because he was covering Bernie. So you know what would happen if he tries to cover this right. If he was on RT, if he was on, like, say, MSNBC, he'd be gone again. If he got a job with CNN, he'd be gone again trying to cover the Syria thing straight up and down.
Yeah. I haven't read the article, but I think an article came out today saying that he was basically forced out because he was basically a Bernie supporter and covering Bernie too much. On top of covering Bernie too much, he was also the only guy at MSNBC covering the TPP, which, by the way, these airstrikes serve as a nice little cover up to the fact that Trump has announced he may be rejoining the TPP. Basically, they're forcing the corporatocracy is forcing him to jump back into the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a global corporate takeover, even bigger than the one we already have. But yeah, basically, Ed is saying that he was forced out of MSNBC, a form of censorship, and he's not the first to have that, right? Cenk Uygur was basically told either you get with the program or you should get out of here, so he was forced out. Phil Donahue, who had a hugely successful show on MSNBC, was forced out during the Iraq War because he wouldn't get behind it, he wouldn't support it. So you see this again and again and again. And of course, the reason we're talking about MSNBC particularly is because they're supposedly the left side of things.
Right.
But in fact, you see this same shit on all the networks, and they're no exception. These networks allow only a very specific type of talking points, and they'll allow very angry debate within a tiny little window. And if you get out of here, you are not there for long. You might be on once. You'll get to be on once. I was on, MSNBC once. I was on Fox News once. You get that one time, and then they escort you out and say thank you very much, and then they tear up your business card. So there, and that's why you see that the anti-war voices, the voices that are willing to call out the two-party corporate system, like you, like me, like Jimmy Dore, where some of us are at RT America, a lot of us are not on television networks, but are instead on YouTube or whatever other online platforms. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason that works like that. And sometimes it's because they won't even give you the meetings. It's not like MSNBC is going to call me in and say, hey, we really want to censor you. Come on over here. No, they just know not to call you up. And so, but these are the people I look forward to because I know I can talk to people that aren't really allowed on those networks. I'll actually, Jimmy Dore will be my special guest on my upcoming show in Los Angeles. I'll be taping a new stand-up special. Actually, I haven't taped a stand-up comedy special in 5 years. So if people want to come on out, May 18th and 19th, Los Angeles, El Rey Theater, they can just go leecamp.com/schedule has the tickets there, or you can find it at my Twitter, in my little Twitter bio, @leecamp. So
yeah, definitely, man. Give it up for Jimmy and give it up for that. That's going to be great, man. Yeah. I wish I could be there to see that, man, but I would definitely catch it, man, when it comes out, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. Jimmy's great, man. You two together, man. That's a hell of a show, man.
But you can go down the list about these journalists that have been forced out these other places. Chris Hedges is now at RT America. Mm-hmm. He was at the New York Times until he came out against the Iraq War. Abby Martin is now at Telesur. She's not allowed on the other networks. So it's really the journalists that I think you should respect. Like I said, Seymour Hersh. There's such a long list of journalists that are doing incredible things. They're just not allowed on the mainstream airwaves.
Absolutely, man. So what do you think about, just to shift gears a little bit, man, the Stormy Daniels thing, man? I've been trying to figure out why the hell people should care about it.
Which movie are you talking about? Are you talking about number 3 or 7 or?
I don't know, man. Hey, look, man, when I watch Stormy Daniels get all this publicity, I feel bad. Not for her, but for Superhead. Because Superhead was the biggest of the, like, you know, she was sleeping with people. It wasn't the president. She slept with Lil Wayne and Jay-Z, but she didn't get any of this publicity. And then I saw that Stormy Daniels is like ranked #1 on Ranker.com as the hottest porn star in history ever because of this publicity, man. I don't know, man. Did you have any? Is there any redeeming? What is this shit? What is this shit show, Lee?
I think that it should be a little tiny story in the corner of the paper. And the reason I think it should be covered at all is because paying hush money and extorting someone, if it's true that someone came up and said, you better shut your mouth about Donald Trump, that is illegal. And when the president does things illegal, I think they should be covered and they should be talked about. Now, outside of that, in terms of, you know, a guy having sex with a consenting adult, I don't give a shit. And I don't even want to know about it. I don't even want to have to have that burned into my retina, Tim. Why is that there? I don't want to picture that.
I'm not going to stay on it. I just wanted to talk about it briefly. But I tell you, man, it's like this
But Tim, beyond that, it's so I believe it should be covered. It's a very tiny amount, but it's being used to paper over anything else important in the fucking country, everything else that's going on, the day-to-day of Americans, the fact that people can't get by, the study that just came out. You know, a lot of people are getting by because they're doing some extra Uber driving and Lyft driving. Study came out from an MIT scientist. He's a mathematician, said that when you account for the damage done to the car and everything else that Uber drivers have to pay for, a third of them are losing money. And then he was pressured by Uber and changed it to say 10% are losing money. Let's say it is 10%. 10% of fucking Uber drivers are paying Uber to have strangers come and fart in their car all day long. Can you imagine that? That's not an economy, Tim. That's not an economy. That's just destruction of people's lives. That's insane.
Yeah, man, that Uber setup, man, it's a ripoff. And who pushed that through? Wasn't that Obama's thing? Wasn't that the way he fudged those numbers? That's why I never pay attention to those unemployment numbers, man.
Right.
These jobs suck.
And here's the thing: is this isn't just kind of one coincidence. Oh, look what Uber did, or Lyft or something. This is a concerted effort. These companies would be losing money. A lot of them would be losing money. Amazon may not still be losing money, but it did for its first, 10 or 15 years. And yet it's, one of the highest stocks in the world, right? Because they get venture capital, they get money put in there that says, once you get big enough, that you crush everything else, that you crush any union, that you crush mom and pop shops, that you crush the taxi cabs union, that you crush public transport. Once we've done that, you will become profitable. It is a design of unfettered capitalism to crush anything that is good for workers, that is good for society, and instead enrich a tiny number of people. So this is a laughable, the Wall Street is a fucking Ponzi scheme, and nobody's looking at it, nobody's calling attention to it. We just go along as if this system could even begin to sustain like this.
One of the things I suffer with, man, and I'm going to ask you this, and this is, I have not prepped him with this. This is just something I've been dealing with, Lee. When I call out shit like this, it's primarily under the Democrats, man. The only problem I have is when I do it, people, the Republicans, they go, yay, Tim, this is great. You're calling out the Democrats. But they forget that the Republican Party does similar garbage. So how do you deal with trying to make people say, yeah, I'm calling this out because they're the fake left, which is misleading all of these people who I share some principles with. But that does not mean I condone, as you pointed out, the Republican Party, who just basically says, hey, I come here to steal your money. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to give it to this guy over here, though the Democrats will lie. So how do you deal with that weird shit, that weird seesaw effect?
Well, one thing I do is generally in a segment where I'm going after the Democrats, I often will sum it up by saying this ridiculous sham two-party system. I'll remind people that it's a joke of a two-party system and that it's actually two corporate parties. It's two sides of the corporate party. And I try and make that point a lot. Every once in a while, I'll make a joke about it. So, I'll call out the DNC for being corrupt. And then I'll be like, and of course the RNC is corrupt too. But the reason I'm not going after that is because that's like someone saying, the soup isn't very good at that strip club. Well, of course not. No one expects the soup to be good at that strip club. It's a strip club. So calling out the Republicans for corruption is, of course they're corrupt. Whereas people have this idea, because it's been carefully crafted, that the Democrats somehow are standing up for workers, standing up for people, standing up for the environment, standing up against Wall Street, standing up against war. None of those things do the corporate Democrats do. Now, the Democratic voters, a lot of them do stand up for those things because they think the DNC means those things. But in fact, and Tim, I don't know if you talked about this yet, the fact that the DCCC, which is, the body that decides which Democrats will be funded and get the data to be able to run for office, they have made sure to undermine all progressive candidates, all the Bernie-crats, all the Justice Democrats. They have been going after them every day to make sure, in this midterm election, to make sure that the Democratic Party continues to be just corporate, pro-corporate. So in this study that showed the Democrats running for office, a quarter of them are now military intelligence apparatus. And the reason is because a lot of it's because of the DCCC. They go around and they say, who do we get to run for office? Well, who are we going to fund? Who are we going to give them the data showing where the Democrats live in our county and all that shit that you need to run for office? And they pick out the people that are pro-corporate. They pick out the people with military backgrounds that are not going to turn around and say, I'm against war. And so all the Bernie-crats and the Justice Democrats and everything have been forced out. But again, this is why I trash the two-party system. It's a sham. It's a joke.
It is, absolutely, man. And if, I don't know, I guess what we try to do is just wake people up to what's going on. I don't know what to tell them other than the truth. And it doesn't go down so nice. They don't feel so good about it. And being a black guy is tough because they're taught immediately to be repulsed by the Republican Party. I'm repulsed by them too. So like, well, Tim, we got nowhere to go. Well, you know what? We got to build something new, or you got to clean house. I know we talked about this on your show when you invited me on Redacted tonight. We talked about what two-party system and Green Party, People's Independent Party. But really, man, people, they feel like if the Republicans are bad, the Democrats have to be good. This is not polar opposites. That doesn't exist. And just trying to get that through the heads of people, I find it very difficult, man. You've been at it longer than me, so I appreciate your advice, bro. Tell them they're hoes. Like, you're hoes. That's that.
Well, one thing I do is I do try and every once in a while do a story about people standing up and making change. That's not necessarily at the voting box, not necessarily at the ballot box. There are people that are fighting the pipelines. There are people that are creating new worlds and new ways of thinking about things and really changing their societies. I think you can have a much bigger impact on the local level because the corporations aren't spending as much time and energy rigging the local level. So, if you're not looking to run as a governor, just go, make change in your city, make change in your town. Start waking people up to what's going on there. Become an expert on your town. You and I, Tim, spend a lot of time talking about national and international issues because we have a national, international fan base. But the truth is, if people are interested in their town, fucking become an expert on your town and start waking people up to what's going on there and changing things there. But I do believe in voting because I think that the thing corporations would love best is for us to just give up and go home and say, it's all screwed, I'm not voting. I think that the only way we actually win at our rigged ballot boxes is to swamp what's stolen. And so we have to vote in such crazy numbers in order to make change. But I also think we have to change our voting system. I constantly cover that on Redacted tonight. We basically vote on ridiculous magic boxes that we have no way of proving whether we're getting what we want. I mean, and I don't know whether I said this on your show last time, but the analogy I use is imagine if the last 10 minutes of the Super Bowl, they turned off all the video cameras, sent everyone home, and just finished the game. And then, some ref came on television after it was all over and just said, hey, the Patriots won. People would lose their fucking minds. This country would be on fire, all right? Across from sea to shining sea, it would be on fire. So it's the same with our voting system. We have no way of proving. We have no exit. The exit polls are done by one company that says they make the exit polls fit with the voting machines. We have no way of proving that anything we're voting for is actually happening. And until such time as that, until people demand that these ballot images, they should be public. And actually, New York State just in the court just said that the ballot images are public property. We should all be able to see the ballot images, and we should be able to recount them on our own home computers. Honestly, that's the level it's gotten to, that we should be able to, but they're destroying them or covering them up because they don't want us to know what's actually going on. And anyway, I've gotten off on a sidetrack, but
that's all good, man. Yeah. In fact, I just want people to know the first political panel I ever was on was a panel with Lee Camp and Greg Palast, Michelle Boyle at the DNC. As we were protesting, we did an election integrity panel. So I want to thank you for that, Lee. That was a great panel, man. So This is not new for us. I mean, that was God, it seems like yesterday, but that was like 2 years ago, right? You've been talking about that for a long time, election integrity.
Oh man, it's every the latest thing to come out was, like I said, that court case in New York saying that the ballot images should be public property. And if you're in a town or city across the country and you want to bring that up to your own city and say, hey guys, these ballot images should be public property, I should be able to look at them, because guess what? A ballot doesn't show the person's name. All right, so there's no worry that you're uncovering the privacy of voting. So that should be public property, and we need to demand it of these, fucking con artists. But something else that just happened is Tim Canova. You've had him on, right? Tim Canova just got the Board of Elections to have to admit on camera that she had all of the ballots destroyed in his race against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, illegally had them all destroyed afterwards. And, why would they need them destroyed? Oh, because maybe they rigged things, maybe just a little.
Just a little bit.
So yeah, that's just come out. So this stuff keeps coming out, and people have to keep demanding legit elections. But your question was about how to make change, and I think that the real change in this country, a lot of it is going to come outside of the ballot box. We can't just go home and wait for the next election. You got to get out there. You got to get angry. You got to demand things from your city and town. You have to demand change. You have to demand, on every level that this shit be changed, because. The amazing thing is a different world, a world that's far better than this one, is possible with technology. Technology has allowed the most incredible advances, and we should all be living better lives right now. But instead, it's all held in a tightly grasped corporate box of they own everything, they own our lives, and they treat us like slaves that they can just punch around.
Absolutely, man. We talked about the election. There's a couple things we talked about with elections: ranked choice voting. We talked about weekend voting. We talked about voting online. I mean, can we revolutionize this bullshit? Like, let's step into the new era and use some of this technology to vote different ways. If you really gave a damn, people be able to vote any day, anytime. They'd be able to vote. Like, everybody had a day off. Everybody be able to go vote. They can't tell me they're complaining.
Yeah, I think there is some important things in what you said. I think every should be a day off. Everybody should be able to easily get, if you want to do voter ID, which is largely designed just to fucking, suppress people. If you wanted to do it, you should give them a day off and make them free, and everyone gets to go and get their ID, all right? Instead, it's designed to make sure poor people can't vote. A day off, ranked choice voting. Now, the voting online thing, every computer expert that I've talked to says the day when that can really truly be secure is probably a long way off. Okay. So I do think that we'll get there eventually, but right now I think to push for that is just a push for a more easily hacked or corrupted version.
I'll take the day off though. I'll take that.
I'll take the day off.
I'll go with that.
Yeah. But I will say this. Recounting online, we should be able to do that. We should be able to you should be able to have a recount party where you get together and you all get to look at every ballot that has been cast in your city, and you could go through them and see whether it's really adding up. Well, let's see. Me and my friends went through 1,000 ballots. so far, and they didn't seem to add up like the way they're telling us at all. Like, you should be able to do that on your own computer. I'm not saying counting online, but actually voting online, but I'm saying you should be able to recount, and these things should be publicly available.
Open process, transparency. Yeah. Everybody can take a look. I mean, it's supposed to be our government, right? So I definitely agree, man. And also open primaries, right? So no matter what your political affiliation. None of this, absentee ballots going in the wastebasket, whole bunch of stuff. Oh, just real quick back to
super delegates.
There you go. That's a killer right there. Super delegates. That Tim Canova thing, but one of the things about that really pisses me off is that Tim Canova's been a Democrat his whole life. And now he's like, you know what, I got to run independent. So he came on my show and he announced it. People criticizing him, saying, well, if you run independent, you're going to split the vote. But they didn't stand up for Tim Canova when his ballots got disappeared. Like they didn't stand with him, but now he's supposed to go, well, okay, we'll see fool me once. What's the Bush line? Fool me once, fool me twice, I can't be fooled again.
Well, the point is I can't be fooled again.
That's it, yeah. So he's supposed to allow that to happen. He's supposed to go back like Groundhog's Day once again and just say, okay, what the hell? You cheated me last time. At least we have no proof that you didn't. And now I'm supposed to run as a Democrat again, be limited to one damn debate on Sunday morning at 7:30 a.m.
I think it was like 10 minutes long, too. But on top of that, split the vote of what? Split the vote of Debbie Wasserman Schultz? Are you fucking kidding me? Who gives a shit? I don't care if her vote is split 42 ways. That woman has rigged everything that we've ever seen. You really, they're going to stand, you're going to split the vote. Who cares? She doesn't do it, like, as if she's fighting for you.
She's one of the, dude, I have never understood what it is. I understand that, well, what I've been told is that she's very powerful, so a lot of people are afraid to talk badly about her. She's a horrible candidate. She's not well-spoken. She's got no legislation. She's corrupt as hell. She got fired. Come on, dude, she got fired. They reelected someone.
Head of the DNC.
Horrible, man, horrible. But I interviewed Donna Brazile, and now I guess the only way I can one-up that is to interview Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And I'll really be batting 1,000.
You gotta wait till she has a book to sell, because otherwise she's never doing it.
there it is. Ka-ching.
I gotta get out of here in a few minutes.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, tell so California, right? Comedy special, Jimmy Dore. You guys gonna kill it? Tell people more about that and where to go.
Jimmy Dore is just gonna be the special guest. I'm gonna film in a new comedy special. Like people, if they haven't seen my old ones, people watch, the stuff you watch on Netflix, the 1 hour stand-up comedy specials. I'm not one of these guys. If people only know me from Redacted Tonight, I'm not one of these guys that just started doing comedy yesterday. Although you're pretty damn good at it, Tim. I've been doing this for 20 years, so I hope people in Los Angeles will consider coming out for that. And also, we have a special guest on top of just special guest Jimmy Dore. So it's going to be a hell of a night. It's at the El Rey Theater, May 18th and 19th. And again, the easiest way is either just look up, Lee Camp at El Rey Theater or Los Angeles or something. But really, you can go to leecamp.com/schedule and look me up there, or my Twitter right in the bio. It says where my live tour is. So that's at Lee Camp on Twitter.
Man, fantastic, brother. And guys, don't forget, I think we still got some tickets for Pennsylvania. Is that correct?
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh, guys, go to leecamp.net for that information as well. And Lee, is there anything I forgot to mention that you wanted to end them with?
If you haven't checked out Redacted Tonight, it's all where I had Tim on as a guest, because I have an interview show and a non-interview show, and I had Tim on the interview show. And anyway, all that is at youtube.com/Redacted Tonight, or my Facebook, although they're suppressing the shit out of me, is Lee Camp Comedian over there.
Right. Yeah, guys, go subscribe to Lee Camp. They're really trying to hose up the works. These guys are afraid of the truth. They're trying to silence the brother. Make sure you go support him and follow him. Lee Camp on Facebook and on Twitter as well.
Lee Camp Comedian on Facebook.
Lee Camp Comedian on Facebook. Hey, look, Lee, man, thank you so much for being here, man. I really appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, Tim. Keep fighting.
You got it, guys. And if you like the graphics, hey, look, I did some things look really nice. If you like the graphics, the new updated graphics, go see my man Joe Infernari. He did it. He hooked it up for us. He made us look professional tonight, even more professional. Find him at www.joeinfernari.com. And we are out of here.